Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 14th episode of Toaster Talk on the Toast Network. For the fans, by the fans, you know the drill. We have our familiar faces on our panel today. Everyone's excited about the race, except for its timings. It's in the middle of the night for folks in India. Naren decided to stick to a time zone which is closer to Miami, even though he couldn't make it to Miami. So we'll do a quick round of introduction of our panelists for today. We have Vignesh, Naren, and Twinkle on. Quick hello from each one of you.
Hello everyone. Be back for another race, another exciting race. I hope there's no crashes today because it's a new circuit.
Slow and steady, which is something we never hear in F1. It's the antithesis of F1. But over the weekend, we have seen a lot of drivers have played it safe for good reasons. But we'll talk a lot more about that soon. Quickly moving on to our connect and context. Vignesh is already smiling.
Honey Badger is Daniel Ricciardo. Iceman is Kimi.
Mad Max is Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Mad Max is Max Verstappen. I thought about that. Lord Percy is, I think, so Hamilton. Sir Lord something.
Lord Percy is not Hamilton. It's not Hamilton.
Okay. Percy. France. Ocon.
No.
No.
Gasly.
Yeah.
I'll give you a clue. Lord Percival is in pole position today.
Leclerc.
Charles.
Oh, Charles Leclerc.
Miami GP. I don't know what is.
And this is, I think, so. Who's this? Nicole.
No. It's
No.
Britney Spears.
So you've got
Britney
Mad
Spears,
Max,
yeah.
right? You've got Iceman as Kimi, Honey Badger is Daniel Ricciardo, Lord Percival is Charles Leclerc. Percival is part of his full name. I think that's his fourth. So when he and Sainz had a catch-up, Sainz was like, wow, that's a very lordish name. And that's from where he ended up getting the name Lord Percival. On top, we have Britney Spears.
Okay.
That's Mad Max, obviously. That's Max.
So
that's
are
right.
these actually the pole position winners at a new circuit?
No, these are all nicknames.
Okay.
No, Britney's Nico Rosberg. Nico
that is
Rosberg
correct.
and Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, Nico Rosberg for his beautiful blonde mane ended up being called Britney. But these are all the fun nicknames that our various drivers have. My favorite's been the Red Baron for Schumacher. But any fun nicknames that you guys are aware of?
So it's not a nickname per se, but one day my friend just asked me, like, okay, what is Ed Sheeran doing in Formula One? And then I realized, okay, he was talking about Bottas.
Ed Sheeran and Bottas. Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't know.
In one or two of the race in, I think so 2017 or 18, he exactly looked like Ed Sheeran. I can give you some pics on that.
Yeah, if you say so. Then you'll probably ask what was Bottas doing in Game of Thrones.
Wasn't there also something that happened in I don't know, what was it, Brazil or somewhere, where Vettel and all they all started calling, I don't really remember, but there's actually another funny nickname for someone out there in the paddock. I don't really, was it Ocon, or it was one of the youngsters actually. I think it was after the Malaysia GP, or I don't really recall.
I'm not sure of this one, but one interesting story I had was for Inspector Seb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does the finger salute.
Okay.
Especially during his Red Bull days, whenever he used to go on the podium, he used to put his finger up, and a lot of people found that obnoxious. But there's actually a story behind that. like for one of his races, he had an accident and a part of his finger got smashed off and it had to be stitched back.
No.
And that's why he puts that finger, he shows that finger up to say that, you should live in the moment because you never know what will happen.
Yeah.
I guess if you were a Shah Rukh Khan fan, you'd have said Kal Ho Na Ho, but that
Yeah.
was an interesting story. Like I always thought that was a bit obnoxious that he's trying to show that he's number one. But when I got to know this story, that made so much more sense.
Also, we have the flying Finn, Mika Hakkinen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Didn't Pastor Maldonado had this nickname as a crasher?
yeah,
Gate crasher.
Crash Donaldo or something.
Yeah.
That way we have.
I also
Magic
believe
Spin.
Mass Spin. I believe in 2020, Bottas was briefly nicknamed Mr. Lawnmower because he was on the during the Austrian Grand Prix. He was mostly on the gravel track and the lawn.
Oh, okay.
Very briefly.
And we also had recently Nikita Mazepin.
Yep. I mean, that way I would call Bottas the sweeper also, right? He used to sweep the floor out with the competition.
And he had a lot of nicknames.
Speaking of Bottas, obviously he's been doing really good this season as compared to his previous car.
Yeah, I actually remember it. It's Fiat. Fiat was called Torpedo for a little while.
Oh,
After the
Kvyat. Daniel Kvyat.
Yeah. He was called Torpedo for a little while after an incident or something.
Okay.
I remember.
Yeah, but it didn't really stick. But it was a thing for a little while.
It was because I believe he torpedoed Vettel in one of the corners, and then he got that name. And it was discussed in one of the press conferences where I think Lewis didn't know it, and then Ricardo was the one who said that, okay, he's called Torpedo.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know what is Lewis's nickname?
No.
I mean, the most popular one is $1 Billion Man.
Okay. Oh. Who calls him that though? Is it like on press conferences?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I guess it's probably because of his net worth. I don't really see any, or maybe the fact that he has a lot of jewelry on him and he's like the Bapilleri of F1. But that does bring me to that was a conversation over the last few days, right? The fact that F1 reiterated that jewelry and underwear are banned. Specific underwear is banned in F1 during the race, and there will be there'll be checks done prior to the race to verify on that. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk on that. So, Naren, maybe if you want to just fill us in on what is this whole jewelry and underwear ban that everyone's been talking about.
Sure. This rule was there from 2004 that drivers who are there in the F1 car should not have even any single jewelry. But it was not enforced per se completely into the drivers until now by the new race director. So the race director, as per the clause, it says that there are two clauses that is related to this. One is you should not have any jewelry when you're in the car and when you're racing. Number two is not related to jewelry, but it is an additional sub clause that was added to the same clause, which says that you should wear fireproof underwears for you to be safer when you have a crash and that involves fire. So these two are two different line of statements altogether, but we were seeing Lewis Hamilton saying no, he can't take off his nose ring because it is permanently stuck to his nose. And number two, on yesterday, we were seeing Inspector Seb, taking the rule of wearing fireproof underwear by wearing Puma underwear on top of his race suit and going around the paddock. So the primary reason why it was bought is to ensure that just because of an extra jewelry, the driver does not have any repercussions when there is a crash. Same goes with the fireproof underwear. But some people, some say it is good, some say it is bad. There will always be controversies, but this one's the basis of the rule.
Yep, and thanks for summarizing that. And obviously on Friday, two drivers, Hamilton and Inspector Seb, decided to make a statement around that. One dressed up as Superman, and the other one getting in with 3 watches and a lot more jewelry than what he usually wears. Obviously, he's also asked for an exemption based on medical records to highlight that 2 of the pieces cannot really be removed from his body. So he's got an exemption for that. But Twinkle, Vignesh, did you want to add anything to all the controversy around the jewelry and underwear, specifically because there's also talks that this has been directed specifically at certain individuals rather than the entire fraternity?
Yeah, I think the underpants, I think they're supposed to be longer. I don't know about the fireproof underpant thing. I know that they are supposed to be a certain length. I find it ridiculous. I mean, all right, I have certain school memories related to stuff like that, but it just sounds very bizarre to enforce that particularly. Jewelry, I understand, but then he's been racing with his jewelry on. Lewis has been racing with his jewelry on for the last 16 years. He's been in some horrible crashes as well. And I do agree that jewelry probably can be troublesome in an accident of certain sorts, but I do think that F1 does have a bigger FIA does have bigger problems to address before they address these rather seemingly bizarre regulations.
Yep, they have bigger fish to fry, as Hamilton himself said.
Yeah.
But that brings me to the bigger fish and the bigger revenues that they're looking to pull in, and which is why they've moved all the way to Miami. Vignesh, what are your thoughts about the Miami race that we have lined up later tonight?
See, first of all, if I would request that, okay, whoever wins the race should take a dip in the fake marina. That's a tradition which they follow in Monaco, so why not in Miami? But yeah, we don't do it with water here. More than that, Miami has been an excellent place for Formula One. More than that, for the motor races. Now you have seen Indianapolis and others like the other Indy cars visiting Miami frequently. So yeah, Formula One coming there is not new for the people of Miami because they have been a great spectator to the motor racing. But yeah, getting a new location in USA matters the most because the country of that size and you have only one race doesn't suit well. Considering that, okay, in all of Europe, which can actually geographically stick to inside US, we have 18 races. At least the country deserves 3 or 4.
I guess that's a different conversation in terms of money matters, and I need to continue with my custom of using the magic word Netflix with every episode of ours. So that had to come up there, and that's probably one of the reasons business drivers, commercial revenue drivers, to why they're doing this, rather than some of the other aspects of history and fan following. This is tapping into new fan following while the iron's hot. But with whatever said and done, we have a new race. We are all lined up. Drivers have been playing it safe over the weekend, Carlos especially. But from that perspective, we have 2 Ferraris in the front row. What are your expectations or hopes from today's race? And what should the podium look like? We could probably start with Twinkle.
All right. I do think so. Are we doing predictions? Are we doing podium predictions as well, or
any predictions that you want to do? Like, you want to do the top 3, just the top?
yeah.
Any other aspects where, hey, Mick is going to make it to 15th? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Leclerc might win Miami GP because he looks pretty strong. He looked strong throughout the weekend. I do think Red Bulls have been facing a little bit of reliability issue. I'm not sure if that's just the temperatures, because there were like these patterns of cloud in a lot of very hot temperatures. So I'm not sure if that's affecting the
And just to add
performance.
there, it's actually going to be warmer in Miami today compared to the qualifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's been a lot of fluctuation, which is probably why they don't have adequate data. They've never raced there before. Interestingly, it was actually a parking lot that's been converted into a racing track. So I find that hilarious and interesting at the same time. So yeah, I think Leclerc is pretty well stationed, pretty well positioned to win unless Sainz can beat him. Besides that, I don't think George Russell, of course, because Mercedes, I don't think George Russell is gonna, unless they manage to pull up some magic with the pit stops, I don't think he's gonna come up very far ahead. I think it probably might be 1 point, if anything at all. Yeah, and I am really hoping to see what happens with the Williams as well. Like really keen on that, because Latifi has not crashed the last race, but I'm not sure if we can count it for consistency yet.
He crashes when it matters.
Yeah.
He's the big picture crasher, right?
Yeah.
It's not from himself. He's doing it for the greater good of the sport.
Yeah, it's probably the only thing that will make Miami interesting a little bit more.
Yeah, you never know. What are your predictions, Vignesh?
So predictions goes as Twinkle said. Charles Leclerc going for the win. Considering that Science had a crash and he was taking it a bit slow on the quali, I would say that he would round off the podium position second or third, depends on how he does. Red Bull, they have always done good in a circuit, like new circuits. They have not tried to dominate it. Last year, Jeddah was one of the examples for the same. So yeah, I would go with Red Bull, but considering the reliability issue, it's like still for me, they are in like the fourth or the fifth thing. Mercedes, I am going to rule them out of this weekend, considering that Mercedes were never good with high temperatures. Every time they had faced a high temperature, their cars never performed well. So I'm going to go out with them. So yeah, the next person who I see good is Valtteri Bottas. Let me score the podiums with him. So Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas, and Carlos Sainz, or Carlos Sainz and Valtteri Bottas.
Interesting. Let's move on to our Checo fanboy, Naren.
There was actually an interesting article that I read in the race, which says, which appeared recently, probably 5 hours ago, saying that the surfaces of the racetrack is not even, and it's been resurfaced twice for the for the wet tracks to be even. So I was reading through the article, and many people have complained that the track is not according to the F1 standard. Max Verstappen himself quipped that it is more like a gravel. So I see that since many people have spun off in the qualifying and the race, I hope that there won't be any more spin-offs today, because it has rained last night, and even though the temperature are high, we might not know how the grip is because of the wet conditions. So if all goes well, we already saw a wet race and we saw who the winners were. If all goes well, I would still say it would be Charles Leclerc's day today, closely followed by Sainz, because both the Ferraris are okay. I would not say Red Bull will come third or fourth, because Max and Sergio have already complained that the racetrack is not as good as they thought it would be. So I feel that they might lose some grips, especially in turn 14, where two of the drivers have already crashed. So considering that, it might be Russell who will come third, because he was very strong even in free practice and in qualifying. So I see Charles Leclerc, Sainz, and Russell in the podium.
Interesting. And I'm supposed to be the F1 fan or the Ferrari fan in this group, but I have a weird feeling that looking at how the temperatures are going up and how Charles Leclerc has been facing issues, especially with tire management, I have this weird feeling that, he's going to do well for 70%, 80% of the race. And then when it really matters, Max is going to pull a fast one on him.
Yeah.
And there is going to be a strategy call that will happen here. So in between the race, because of the strategy call, I have a feeling Sainz will lose out to Max, because they'll be trying to protect one of them. Like they want to make sure Leclerc or Sainz stays on the top. So Sainz might lose out to Max from that perspective, so that Leclerc can stay on top. And then towards the end, this graining will play a role, or porpoising, as Vignesh highlighted. And Max might be able to pull a fast one over Charles Leclerc. So we'll see Leclerc on the podium, but I'm not sure if he'll be conveniently getting to first place. It might just be a Max, and hence from that perspective, the third place is completely open. And I feel it could either be George Russell, or it could be a surprise in the form of Lando or Bottas.
Lando, actually, that's such a good bet. Lando is also a very good suggestion for the third place. Maybe he wins it, who knows? Isn't there that whole bit about the McLaren?
It has to rain. And then Lando's there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he'll do a shoey with the water from the fake marina.
Yeah, but Bruce McLaren won for the first time, I think, in one of the US GPs at the age of 22. And Lando's still looking out for that first win, and he is 22 and he is in the US. So who knows?
Wow.
Maybe if it all works out.
Cosmos conspires.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we have an exciting race lined up for us in Miami. Completely different time zone. Not sure how many of you are going to stay awake throughout the race, but it's going to be an exciting one. Naren, I'm not asking you. You have to stay awake with your time zone. But with that, thanks a lot, everyone, once again, for sharing your thoughts, your predictions. Looking forward to see how it all rolls out, and hopefully make up for a lot more exciting front field compared to the exciting midfield that we already have. With that, thanks once again to you, our viewers. Please like, share, subscribe to the Toast Network, and tell everyone about Toaster Talk. If you have comments, thoughts, contradictory to whatever we said here, put it down in the comment section, and we will try to respond to that the next time around. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.